Hey everybody, it's Beth, and today I'm making a fall hanging sign using the Crackle paint method. I used one of these little pumpkins from Dollar Tree. This little palette sign was from Hobby Lobby. Some Spanish moss and raffia, some school glue, burnt umber and white acrylic paint, sage shadow and white chalk paint, and hot glue. I started by painting the entire palette sign with the burnt umber acrylic paint. I covered the entire thing and I just did one coat of that. Once the palette sign was completely dry, I took the school glue and just brushed it all in the same direction along each of the little slats. I did a pretty generous coat and just covered all of those and then all the sides. I did not do the back. After I had all the school glue applied, I did not let it dry. I just took a large brush in the white acrylic paint and just brushed all in the same direction. I tried not to get too many strokes. I didn't want to move around the glue too much. Just did a nice thick layer, all in the same direction, covering the entire front and then all the sides. Now, once that's all done, I took my heating tool and just held it kind of still for a few seconds on each spot. You can just let it dry naturally. It will take quite a while. So I use my heating tool, and as soon as it starts drying, you'll see the crackling and the rippling within all that paint. And so here's what it looks like. And then I just did that to the whole front. And then the sides, I hit that a little with the heating tool, but let it dry mainly on its own. And then I painted the pumpkin it's a little metal sign or hanger that comes from Dollar Tree. I painted that with one coat of the white chalk paint just to give it a nice base so I didn't have to use too much of my sage shadow paint. So once that white paint was dry, I covered it with the sage shadow, and I still ended up having to do 2 coats of that to make sure everything was covered. And then I took some of this sage paint again with the white acrylic paint and just mixed the two, just so it was a little bit different shade, and kind of went along the lines that are already on that pumpkin, and then did around the edges as well. And then for the stem, I took the burnt umber again and just did 2 coats of that on the stem. And then the last thing I did was glue down the pumpkin, put the hot glue right on the edges really, because that's the only place that it would touch, and just held that down there just for a couple minutes until it dried. And then I had made a tiny little bow out of the raffia, glued that on, and then took some of the Spanish moss and hot glued that to the very bottom of the pumpkin. And that's it for this project. Super simple, but looks really adorable. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video.